Have you ever wondered how some people seem to weather every storm life throws at them with grace and resilience? It's a question that has intrigued philosophers, psychologists, and the curious-minded for centuries. Adversity, as we all know, is an inevitable part of life. It's like the rain, it falls on the just and the unjust, sparing no one. It's not about if it will happen, but when. And when it does, how will we respond? Enter Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that originates from Greece and Rome. Stoicism teaches us that life may not always be within our control, but our reactions and responses to it certainly are. It offers a framework for turning adversity into advantage, for finding tranquility amidst turmoil. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering how to navigate the rough seas of life with a steady hand and a calm heart, you're in the right place. In the next few minutes, we will dive into the principles of Stoicism and how you can apply these to overcome adversity. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, holds the keys to enduring life's inevitable hardships. Birthed in the cradle of Hellenistic Greece around the 3rd century BC, Stoicism was founded by Zeno of Citium. It later flourished in the hands of Epictetus, Seneca, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, each contributing significantly to its evolution. Yet, despite its ancient roots, Stoicism's principles remain as relevant today as they were over 2,000 years ago. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot, urging us to focus our energies only on the former. It's a philosophy of acceptance, encouraging us to embrace the world as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. It's a call to adapt, to remain unswayed by external events, and to find tranquility within ourselves, no matter the storm that rages outside. But Stoicism isn't about impassiveness or suppressing emotions. Instead, it's about understanding our emotions, acknowledging them, and then choosing not to be governed by them. It's about developing the resilience and fortitude to remain steadfast, come what may. Stoicism also places a strong emphasis on virtue, defining it as the highest form of goodness and the only true measure of a person's worth. It's not about what you have or what you've achieved, but who you are as a person. It's about integrity, courage, wisdom, and self-discipline. It's about pursuing these virtues relentlessly and, in doing so, finding a sense of fulfillment and peace that material possessions or external validation could never provide. In essence, Stoicism is a philosophy of life, a guide to living well, and a blueprint for personal growth. It's about accepting the world as it is, focusing on what we can control, and striving to be the best version of ourselves. It's about finding inner peace amidst the chaos, and developing the resilience to weather any storm. Armed with these principles, Stoics are prepared to face any adversity that comes their way. The first principle of Stoicism to master in overcoming adversity is acceptance. Acceptance, as we Stoics perceive it, is not akin to surrender. It's not about throwing your hands in the air and saying, well, that's just how it is. No, acceptance is a more nuanced, a more resilient stance. It's about acknowledging the situation you find yourself in, appreciating the reality of it, and then choosing to engage with it from a position of understanding. Imagine a sailor on a stormy sea. The waves are high, the wind is howling, and there's no land in sight. The sailor could curse the sky, rage against the storm, and lament his ill fortune, but the storm won't care. The winds won't soften, and the waves won't calm. His anger, his frustration, his denial, none of these will change the storm. What the sailor can do, however, is accept the storm. Recognize its power, its threat, but also its indifference. The storm isn't personal, it just is. Accepting this, the sailor can then focus on what he can control, his ship, his sails, his course. The second principle of Stoicism to apply in overcoming adversity is understanding what we can and cannot control. This principle is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, asserting that we should not expend energy worrying about things we cannot influence. Instead, it encourages us to focus on our reactions and responses to these situations, as these are within our control. Consider a sudden rainstorm. We cannot control the weather, nor can we stop the rain from falling. But we can control how we react to it. We can choose to become upset, or we can accept it, take out an umbrella, and carry on with our day. In life, we are often faced with situations that are beyond our control. These can range from minor inconveniences, like a delayed train, to significant life events, such as losing a job or facing a health crisis. While we cannot control these events, we can control our response to them. We can choose to let them derail us, or we can choose to face them with grace and resilience. So, how do we identify what we can control and what we can't? A useful tool is to write down the situation that's causing you distress. Then, make two lists. One for the aspects of the situation that you can control, and one for the aspects that you can't. This simple exercise can help to clarify your thoughts and guide your actions. For example, let's say you're facing a difficult work project. You can't control the deadline, the complexity of the task, or the expectations of your boss. But you can control how you approach the project, how much time and effort you invest, and how you manage your stress levels. Once you've identified what you can control, focus your energy on these aspects. This might mean developing a plan, seeking help when needed, or finding ways to manage your stress. By doing this, you are taking proactive steps to navigate the situation, rather than feeling overwhelmed by it. Now, it's important to note that focusing on what you can control doesn't mean ignoring the things you can't. It simply means accepting them as they are. This acceptance is not passive resignation, but an active acknowledgement of reality. It frees you from the burden of trying to change things that are beyond your reach, allowing you to focus on the things you can influence. Remember, control in the Stoic sense is not about dominating or manipulating circumstances or others. It's about mastering your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's about choosing your response regardless of the situation. When you focus on what you can control, you empower yourself. You become an active participant in your life rather than a passive observer. You build resilience, cultivate inner peace, and develop the ability to navigate adversity with grace and courage. Focusing on what we can control empowers us to take action and reduces feelings of helplessness. So, next time you find yourself in a challenging situation, remember this Stoic principle. It might just help you to overcome adversity and find peace amidst the storm. The third principle of Stoicism to embrace in overcoming adversity is the pursuit of virtue. Delving into the depths of Stoicism, we unearth a profound emphasis on virtue and moral excellence. The Stoic philosophers of the past held virtue in high esteem, viewing it as the highest good. But what does virtue mean in the context of Stoicism? Well, it's about character, it's about integrity, it's about developing an unshakable moral compass that guides you through the unpredictable storms of life. Virtue is not a destination, but a journey. It's a constant striving for moral excellence, a relentless pursuit of being the best version of oneself. It's about doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. It's about standing tall and staying true to your values, even in the face of adversity. So how can the pursuit of virtue guide us through difficult times? Imagine navigating through a dense, dark forest with nothing but a compass. The forest represents the trials and tribulations of life. The darkness symbolizes the uncertainty and fear we often feel, and the compass, well, that's virtue. No matter how lost we may feel, no matter how dense the forest may seem, the compass of virtue always points us in the right direction. It provides us with a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. But how do we practice virtue? How do we cultivate this moral compass? Well, it starts with self-awareness. We must first be aware of our values, our principles, our moral standards. We must understand what it means to be virtuous in our own unique context. Once we have a clear understanding of our values, we can then strive to live in alignment with them. Practicing virtue also involves making conscious choices. It's about choosing to do what's right over what's easy. It's about choosing integrity over convenience. It's about choosing truth over deceit. It's about choosing love over hate. It's about choosing courage over fear. Every choice we make, every action we take is an opportunity to practice virtue. And finally, practicing virtue involves perseverance. The path of virtue is often the path less traveled. It's not always easy, it's not always comfortable, but it's always worthwhile. The pursuit of virtue requires a certain level of grit, a certain level of resilience. It requires the strength to keep going, even when the going gets tough. It requires the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's unpopular. Remember, the pursuit of virtue is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about striving to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. It's about growing, evolving, and becoming the best version of yourself. In the pursuit of virtue, we find the strength to endure adversity. To navigate through the storms of life, Stoicism offers a sturdy ship. We've journeyed through the principles of Stoicism and how they can guide us in overcoming adversity. Let's take a moment now to reflect on the wisdom we've gleaned and the tools we've gathered. We began by stepping into the world of Stoicism, a philosophy born in the bustling marketplaces of ancient Greece and Rome. Here we found a school of thought focused not on abstract theories, but on practical advice for the trials and tribulations of everyday life. We learned that acceptance is at the heart of Stoicism. It is about acknowledging the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. This acceptance isn't a form of resignation, but rather a recognition that we can't control everything in our lives. It's about understanding that some things are outside our sphere of influence, and that's okay. Next, we explored the concept of control. Stoics believe that while we can't control everything, we can control our reactions to things. We can control our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. We can choose not to be disturbed by events outside our control and instead focus on what we can change. Then we delved into the pursuit of virtue, the ultimate goal of Stoicism. Virtue in this context isn't just about being a good person. It's about striving for excellence in our character, for wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. It's about acting with integrity, even in the face of adversity. And so, we've seen how Stoicism provides a roadmap for navigating life's storms. It teaches us to accept the things we cannot change, to control our reactions to those things, and to pursue virtue in all that we do. Remember, adversity is a part of life, but with the principles of Stoicism, you have the tools to weather any storm.